Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today I am going to be ranking my top 10 series of 2022. Now, I say favorites because I was thinking of just, top movies or top TV shows of 2022, and I think that's a little too subjective. I just want to talk about why I think that these are the best and not necessarily why they're the best of the whole year. That can be somebody else's job. It ain't going to be mine. So I'm going to go from 10 to 1 and talk about just why I love these shows. Because most of these shows I have reviewed already, or I've talked about them already and talked about the details of them. So let's just get into my top 10 shows and why I love them so much. Okay, so number 10 was actually hard because this was going to be a tie, but I made myself decide. At number 10, I put She-Hulk. The runner-up would have been Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight is just at number 11, but I was like, okay, which one would I want to watch more? And I think She-Hulk has the most rewatchability, especially because a lot of these episodes can just be kind of seen as one-off. So if you just had a favorite episode, if you want to watch the Megan Thee Stallion twerking scene again, you can go back and rewatch that one. It doesn't really affect the rest of your watch through or anything like that. So I just had fun with this. I love the comedy. Tatiana Maslany, she was really great in this. She was really fun, and yeah, it is about superheroes, but I do like it was more just like a kind of quasi courtroom drama sort. It was weird, it was fun, it was experimental, and that's why I liked it. Number 9 on my list, coming again from Disney Plus, is Ms. Marvel. I almost felt like all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows were kind of just on equal footing, but I put Ms. Marvel above that, mainly because I enjoyed this being a coming of age teen drama. I think I'm still young adult enough to still like that kind of genre. I feel young at heart. I feel like a teenager, so you can still kind of relate to all the things that Kamala is going through. Trying to find her way in this world, making friends, romance, and all that stuff. All that good stuff that reminds you of those teen movies. As I've said 100 times now from the 2000s, it just reminds me of that. Gives you a hint of nostalgia for that period of movies, or just that period in my life in general. And so I thought it was really sweet. It was a sweet story about family, about daughters and mothers and grandmothers. And so they really pulled it off really well, aside from the ending, but overall really well. So coming in at number 8, this seems kind of low on the list, but I mean, all things considered, out of everything I watched, number 8 is pretty high. The Wednesday Addams series on Netflix, that was a surprise one coming out of the blue, coming out of left field. I did not think I was going to enjoy this series. I didn't even really plan on watching it. It was just kind of all by happenstance. Like I said, I did review this one as well, so you can go back and check out that review. It's just one video, but yeah, it was like we were watching it at home, just kind of in the background, and then I just got sucked in. So Jenna Ortega in this, oh my goodness, I don't think I've really seen her in anything else before, so this was like my first introduction to her. I think she played the role really well. She really filled it out, and they kept there's a little bit of a mystery going on within this. So if you're wondering why should I watch this, there's a bit of a mystery. It's a little bit like she's going to school at like an American Hogwarts. There's, some witches and wizards and crazy supernatural stuff going on. So it was a fun mystery with some pretty cool twists, and I definitely think it's worth watching if you haven't seen it before. So coming in at number 7, I didn't get to review this one fully, but I did get a chance to talk about it at some point early this year, but it is Our Flag Means Death from HBO Max, from Taika Waititi. And it was an interesting one because I didn't know what to expect from it. I think I saw a lot of talk on Twitter or on Tumblr, or maybe both, and it just kind of seemed like one of those new shows that everyone was really getting into, and they're like, you really gotta watch this, especially because it's the gay pirate show. And I was like, my interest is piqued. So yeah, this is another show with a lot of heart, and you've basically got some aristocrat guy who's tired of his life, wants to become a pirate. So you've got a misfit band of pirates, right? And then I don't even want to say what comes next, but it's just a very funny adventure. It's got a great cast. They're so great on Twitter as well, just interacting with the fans. I think it's the fans that got the show to get a renewal for season 2, because there's still so much more story to tell with this, and I'm really looking forward to that. So it's a really great show, and I'm glad that I picked up on it. In our number 6 spot, from HBO Max as well, HBO Max is really going to be cleaning up on this list. That is Peacemaker. And I just talked about Peacemaker in our DC 2022 review, but overall, I think, okay, number 1, if you haven't seen Peacemaker, you might kind of need to see the Suicide Squad to watch this. So there's a little bit of a barrier to entry here. But all that being said, this is from James Gunn and it's DC, and you just get a lot of that quirkiness in this series. But also James Gunn really knows how to, with him and the stuff that he creates, it gets really sentimental, it gets really heartfelt, and you kind of wouldn't expect to see something like that in a show like this. So number one, if I like a show, it has to be very heartfelt. If you haven't caught on by now. But yeah, this was just kind of like a fun like side mission for these like C/D level characters in the DC universe. Amanda Waller gives them a mission. They have to come together. Another kind of like band of misfits, right? And so there's some discord going on. Eventually they pull it together. They got to work together as a team to solve this big mystery that's going on, and it was a satisfying conclusion, and I'm hoping as well that there's more story to tell, because I think it wraps up kind of neatly in season 1, but I would love to see more from this. Now we are into the top 5, the best of the best. In a surprising case, the number 5 spot goes to Star Wars' Andor, the series that I complained about for 3 episodes. So much so that I stopped reviewing it. And then I picked it up towards the end because it got better. This was like a miracle of television, like never seen before, never pulled off before. I really ragged on those first 3 episodes, guys. It was sad. It was embarrassing. That's what it was. But what I think happened was, this is a 12 episode series following this random character from Rogue One who I completely forgot about. But what ended up happening was they developed the character so much, they developed his skills so much, and the people that he interacted with, that I actually care about this character now. It was really well done, and it gives you a perspective of Star Wars that I don't think you really see anywhere else in on-screen media. So I think if you liked Rogue One, and most people are like, Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie, I think there's a reason why. It's from Tony Gilroy, the same creator behind Rogue One, and so you see a lot of that transfer over into this series, and it just gives you a really raw, emotional, I say ground level look at Star Wars, at this rebellion. And man, yeah, after kind of like the middle of the series, they really pull it together. So I think the series could have been a lot shorter. But that being said, I am hopeful for the season 2, which is confirmed, because it's really just about them finding their footing, and I'm sure there's going to be so much more detail to go into. And just as a little bonus, they can say curse words in this Star Wars show. If I haven't said that enough already in my reviews, they can curse in this. So it's grown up, it's for the adults, and it was a fun ride. So coming in at number 4, I think this is a good spot for this. Westworld from HBO. Now Westworld, I believe, was probably one of my most well-received YouTube review series that I've done this entire year, and this should be number 1 on my list just for the fandom and just for all the fans that interacted with all my videos. I love you guys to death. I'm so glad that you were on this journey with me, and I say that because we all know Westworld got canceled. So season 4 came out. This was a very strong season to me, but I suppose the numbers just weren't looking the way that they were looking, that the new Warner Brothers CEO wanted them to look. And as well, I believe I also heard that they had the option to do another season with a shorter budget. I think they should have took the money and run. They just make a shorter season 5, because let me tell you, they were heading in a really, really cool direction with season 4. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Season 1 I loved. Season 2 was pretty decent. Season 3 they really dropped the ball, and so I kind of came in begrudgingly-ish with season 4, but I really, really loved pretty much every episode. I loved where they were taking the story, all the kind of twists and new concepts that they were coming up with. It was pretty genius, and so that's why I am disappointed that we are, I say, not getting a season 5. I think that there is hope for Westworld to return and for them to pull off one more heist. I'm just saying right now, as it stands, there's no season 5, but definitely season 4 I think is worth watching, just because they kind of give it like a soft close. They're like, we could end it here just in case, but otherwise, yeah, they had some great concepts, and I like that this is a show that keeps you guessing. This is one of the shows where I could just theorize for days, and I enjoyed theorizing with you guys just because there was a lot of details. There was a lot of little hints and clues, and so we were playing mystery every single week. So that's what made it so fun. And I enjoy all the memories that we created. Now at number 3, our top 3 from HBO, House of the Dragon. Now it's weird because I really did not intend on HBO being one of the like niches on my channel. I was like, I'm just gonna do like Marvel and DC and Star Wars, but there's a lot of good kind of sci-fi and fantasy stuff going on over at HBO, which is why I included Westworld, and which is why I'm including House of the Dragon. And I always was a fan of Game of Thrones. I just never called myself a stan. And so I was like, I don't really feel qualified to be reviewing House of the Dragon. But I like that House of the Dragon, being a spin-off of Game of Thrones, they do level the playing field for you a lot. They do kind of say, okay, even if you haven't read the source material, or if you don't know, every single Lannister and every single Stark, we're gonna make this pretty entry level for you. They start right where you need to be started with this, right with this kind of the budding discord within the Targaryen family, and it's like the drama just took off from episode 1. There's a lot of things going on. It's a fight for the crown, mostly just focused on the Targaryens, and maybe you would think that's a little closed-minded for Game of Thrones when you have all these other houses, but no, they pull it off spectacularly. It's filled with all the stuff that you love from Game of Thrones and more, and the acting is just incredible, from the young versions of the characters to the older version of the characters. It is just a messy, crazy, dramatic work of art, but hey, it's Game of Thrones. It's classic George R.R. Martin, and so if you had like any reservations about like season 8 of Game of Thrones, I think most people have tuned in by now, because it's definitely worth the hype. It's definitely worth at least 5 seasons, I think. So coming in at number 2, I've really thought about this for a really long time. I'm putting Netflix's The Sandman in the number 2 spot. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say, if we're thinking about House of the Dragon, I think House of the Dragon argumentatively, wordedly, is a better show, but The Sandman is more my favorite show, and that's the list that we're doing here. And what I loved about The Sandman was that it just took me back to those days in Tumblr between like 2012 and 2014, where it was just British madness. You had Doctor Who and Sherlock, everything was zany, everything was weird, and we didn't care. And so it was like The Sandman was just the precise amount of weirdness that I needed in my life to throw me back to those good old days. I was like, I didn't know I was missing this type of weird fun, but I am. I think what really gives these top shows some bonus points is having characters that I really, really love. Specifically, the character Dream really grew on me. Tom Sturridge just plays that he's just kind of quiet and mousy and stern, but also kind of also vulnerable and sometimes a little weak, but he's willing to learn, he's willing to grow, and so that's what I loved about that character. Plus, emo, gothy kind of character. It's just a winning formula for me. So yeah, I really, really love Dream. Loved all the characters, really. They're really, really fun. Gwendolyn Christie was in this. She was oh so good. But I talked about this series before, so you know how I feel about it. Listen, if you haven't seen it yet, you gotta go watch it. And now for the surprise of the year, my number 1 series. It is not from Star Wars. It is not from Marvel. It is not from DC. My number 1 show of 2022 is Stranger Things. That's right, Netflix wins the crown on this one. I can't believe I'm saying that. And unfortunately, I never got to review Stranger Things season 4 on this channel. I've just kind of talked about it now here and there, but I don't know, there was just something in the water with this season of Stranger Things. I don't know if it was just a like momentum that has been building, but it seemed like up until like between season 1 and season 3, a lot of people like Stranger Things. It was never a question of whether it was a good show or a bad show. I think it was always a strong show. But season 4 really became a phenomenon. I for the life of me, I really cannot explain why. I think it was a combination of everything. I think Vecna was a great villain. I think you had some awesome scenes like all the running up that hill stuff, the Eddie guitar scene. You had some really great moments in this series that I really don't even think I can recall any standout scenes that are like really, really standouts between season 1, 2, and 3, maybe besides season 1 where you've got Joyce with the Christmas lights. That being said, I made this my number 1 series also because I watched this twice. None of these other shows have I watched twice. Stranger Things I watched twice. I watched it once when it came out all the way through, and then I kind of watched it kind of stretched out between like I guess August and October. I was like committed to doing the whole rewatch, even though it's long. It's really, really long, but I was in it to win it. It's a great cast. The cast has a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of stuff going on, but this show has my heart now. I've never cared about Stranger Things more. And if we're talking about favorite characters, like I said with Dream, Eddie Munson, probably my favorite character of all time, next to Kino Loy and Andor. I forgot to mention Kino. Andy Serkis, gotta love him too. But yeah, a lot of great elements going on in Stranger Things, and I'm like, I think now it's kind of like, who has not watched Stranger Things? I think it's just been that momentum building up, and this season 4 was just kind of the next big peak of that, and I think with season 5 being the concluding season, it's only gonna get higher from there. So there you have it, my top 10 shows of the year. Guys, let me know down in the comments, what are some of your favorite shows this year? Top 5, top 10, top 20? I'd love to see them all. Let me know if we have any similarities or not. But yeah, please be sure to like this discussion if you enjoyed it. Please stick around because we will be having the worst movies of 2022 and then the big one, the best movies or favorite movies of 2022 for me, coming up very, very shortly. So stick around for that, guys. Subscribe so you know when those videos come out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.